Welcome to Forensic Friday.
Where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all. Bed is calling. You can go to bed soon. As soon as we're done, you can go lay down and stretch
I
out.
said Ben is calling. I was like, who's Ben?
Ben is calling.
I was like, I don't know a Ben. So today we are talking about something really cool, and I'm super excited about this. We are going to be talking about The Sound Relationship House by John Gottman. But before we get into that, I have a funny story for you
Oh, I love a story.
about my marriage.
Oh, I love this.
So this morning we woke up, we were in Summit County. We woke up and I can't even remember what we were talking about. But we woke up and oh, okay. Preston he thinks it's comfortable to chill in like blue jeans.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right.
Nope.
So we were up in Summit, we had some friends with us, whatever. And we're out, we went to Breck, we went to see the snow sculptures, we came back and they wanted to go buy stuff for us to cook dinner at home. And I was like, okay, but can you guys take me home first? Because I have to put my PJs on. I was like so uncomfortable. I need to get out of my day clothes. So anyway, we get home. They drop, myself and the wife of the couple off. And I like immediately put sweats on and it's a whole thing. Even if I'm not pregnant, I'm like, get me home. I need sweats.
This is why we have the partnership with Comfort, because we come home and it's sweatpants immediately.
Yes, except I can't wear my comfort stuff right now because of pregnancy.
I know. We got to get you a different pair.
Whole freaking thing. So
they have some with hearts on them now for Valentine's Day.
I know, dude.
On
I
the
love
butt
them.
pocket. I know.
No, dude. I know. I saw.
But Garrett's gonna lose it. You want to talk about a relationship problem? If I buy one more pair of Comfort sweatpants, it's gonna be a problem.
Oh yeah, no, I can't.
Me neither.
I know. So anyway, so we're talking, and this morning Preston wakes up and he's, about to put his jeans on, and I'm like, we're just gonna drive in the car. Why don't you leave your sweatpants on? And he's like, well, because I have my boots. I'm not gonna wear my his cowboy boots, He's like, I'm not gonna wear my boots with sweatpants. And I was like, well, I would, whatever. And he's like, I think so. He's like, I think jeans are comfortable. And I was like, you are a sociopath.
You're killing me right now because Garrett's the exact same way. We've never talked about this.
So weird. So I tell him all the time whenever he's like, I'm comfy in my jeans. I'm like, you're a sociopath. But it was hilarious because this morning I said that to him. And he's like, maybe I am. And I was like, no, you're too squishy. And I was like, I am more on the psychopathy spectrum than he is.
Yes. I'm not going to disagree with you.
I know. That's what I told him.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
I'm more of a sociopath than you are.
He is a smush. But we've never actually talked about this. This is hilarious. Garrett and I fight about this not fight. We don't fight. We laugh. But I'll tell him, I'm like, put sweatpants on. What is your deal?
It's so weird.
But he will wear jeans until it is time to go to bed.
No, yeah, same with Preston.
And I don't roll like that. And Mac is clothing optional at all times. So I mean, we're not. Mac and I are comfy. We come home, we put on comfies, and we're done. But Daddy wears jeans until he goes to bed. It is wild. I don't understand it.
Yes.
And I've never been like that. I can remember in high school going and hanging out with my friends and we'd all come back and we'd all put on sweats.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what did it? Like, is that because girls just do that?
I feel like guys do too a lot of times.
But I think that girls wear less comfortable clothes most days. So I think girls are more likely to come home. Number one, we wear bras, which that's some hot nonsense, right? But then also I think our clothes are less comfortable. Our day clothes are less comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sorry if people disagree with me on this, but I am one of those who considers leggings to be pants.
Yeah.
And I wear leggings. I mean, I'll wear stuff that covers my bum most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
But I'm like, sorry, those are comfortable.
You do that. That's true.
I would rather wear that because it's comfy than my jeans.
You and I grew up in the era of extreme low rise. So you
Yeah.
might have a flare, but it was like low.
Yes.
So the thing with that is that was not a comfortable thing to hang out in, partially because your whole butt was out.
Yeah.
So, so that, maybe that feels really cool and you just avoid sitting down wherever possible, hanging out with your friends or boys.
I
But you
know.
come home and it's like, I want to put on my sweatpants because I'm not going to have my whole butt out at home with my brother.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Do you remember the jeans? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know. No, 1000%.
I mean, it was a problem for
Oh
a
yeah. I
while.
still have some of them because they're coming back and I have them from the old days. I can't, obviously I can't wear them right now, but
Mm-mm,
I would wear them before I was pregnant and I was like, gosh, like I
mm-mm.
just like the comfort
Hmm.
of something going, higher. It holds it all in,
Covering the butt crack, that's kind of important in
but
public.
it
I'm
holds in
sorry.
that other stuff too. I'm like, I don't want
I
to have
know.
to do abs every single day. I just don't,
I understand that.
you know?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
I know. I'm all for a high rise. I'm never going back. If y'all want to do that, great. If you're 20 years old and you're like, oh, that's
It's
not
coming
right.
back. That's like the thing.
Yeah, but
Are the
people our
low,
age will never. We will
are the
not go
low.
back because we looked ridiculous. I look at pictures sometimes. I'm like, oh,
I know. It's a whole thing.
I know. Okay, sorry. Back to Gottman.
So, um, I'm excited to go over this today because we were talking about, well, and the picture's cool. We'll obviously post the picture. It's like a little house. And
Hmm.
essentially, and Jenny, jump in if you want.
Yeah.
Essentially, this is like kind of the makeup to build a healthy relationship on,
Yes. It's a
right?
it's a template for a healthy
It's
relationship.
literally a template. And I would encourage every couple to look at this and obviously listen to our podcast
Hmm.
on this because it's literally like how do we break it down from ground zero
Yeah.
of a relationship, right? And like the walls are literally based on trust and commitment. Like that's what's holding the house up,
Yep.
and everything else in it are just things that are foundational, right? I guess not. The foundation is, we'll get into that, but
Yes. But
it's
what
what,
holds it up is trust and commitment.
yes.
If you have
And then
commitment without trust, you have a lopsided house. If you have trust in your relationship but no commitment, it's also kind of hard to hold the house up.
kind of, yes, it's very hard.
You have no house. You
You
have a
don't have a
house.
house. So, I would love for you to share a little bit about John Gottman because this is all based on like him, his research, his big, beautiful brain. So, would you mind sharing with our listeners who the heck John Gottman is?
Of course. You know I'm a Gottman nerd,
I know we
super
both love
fan.
him.
So I am someone who's been trained by the Gottman Institute for different varying things. I love his work. He has spent his entire career studying relationships, particularly marriage. And what his work has really kind of centered on is giving insight into what makes relationships succeed or fail. And I think most people, when they come into couples therapy, they really want to improve their relationship. Sometimes they want to come in and decide, is this
Mhm.
relationship healthy enough to move forward or not? And as a couples therapist, it's really important to me that I have like a framework to talk with people about this.
Mhm.
So, John Gottman, he's kind of a gnarly dude now. He's like, oh my gosh, how old is he? 25 plus 58. 80 something?
I don't know. I'm Googling it.
Yeah, tell me how old he is. So John Gottman was born in 1942.
82.
Gottman's 82. Gottman, you got to be around forever, man. We need you.
And his
Our
wife and him are so
They're
cute.
so cute, and we need you, man. He's very approachable and understandable. He was born in 1942 in the Dominican Republic to Orthodox Jewish parents.
Mhm.
He got a PhD in psychology from the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and he did his postdoctoral work at University of Colorado. He was
Duh.
a buff for a minute. That's kind of
Of course he
exciting.
did.
Of course he did. That's where all the smart people go.
Yes.
So, couple really quick things about his research because people ask me sometimes, what do you mean he did research? Like, how do you even do that?
Hmm.
He literally created a love lab in the 80s at the University of Washington.
Hmm.
And in this environment that was kind of cozy rooms, and they would just observe couples interacting in kind of a natural setting,
Yep.
right? They would analyze their communication patterns, physiological responses, and emotional expressions, and then track them over
Mhm.
time. So they would check in with them, right?
Mhm.
And see how the relationship did. So based on how a couple treated each other, and they coded different behaviors,
Mm.
then they would check in and see, like, did those people stay together?
Mhm.
Based on the traits then that they figured out predicted divorce or staying together, Gottman got to the point where he could predict with over 90% accuracy by observing couples, particularly in conflict, for
Yeah.
a very short period of time. We're talking minutes, like
I
5 to 10 minutes.
I thought it was like sessions. I thought it was like if he
Mm-mm.
observed like one session, it was like 80, like 75%, and then three sessions, he was like 90% correct.
Oh, that could be, but I've also seen minutes. Like he could
Okay.
literally tell. And the reason is because it's so strongly correlated. There's a few behaviors, like we talked about the four horsemen.
Yeah.
Those behaviors would show themselves over time, but there were many behaviors that they were coding within those bigger behaviors.
Yeah.
Eye contact, shifting in posture, vocal tone, like those were the kinds of things they were tracking into. And then
Mhm.
also heart rate, blood pressure, all that kind of stuff too. And Nat
Right.
knows I'll pull out a pulse ox in a couple session so fast
Yep.
it'll make your head spin
Yep.
because the quiet one's ready to explode and nobody knows.
Yep.
Um, so one of the contributions that he gave us is this sound relationship house. And when couples come in, this is one of the first things I give them. I don't know if you do you give your couples this sometimes?
No.
Oh, girl, you got to give them
I
this. It's
know.
so
I
great.
need to do the Gottman training. I haven't done that. I love Gottman. I
It's
look at his
so
stuff all the
good.
time, but I need to do it. I'm trained in EFT for couple
Mm,
emotion focused therapy.
which is also wonderful.
It is wonderful, and I do want to do both because I think I think just like any other type of therapy, sometimes people respond better to certain types than others.
Yeah, and when you think about it, this is going to sound funny, pun intended. They're a
Mhm.
good marriage. EFT
Mhm.
is, as it says, emotion focused, which I really like, and looking at emotional
Yes.
dynamics. Gottman is super practical, research based.
Yes.
Love it because they feel like they're getting something tangible.
Yes.
But
They
the
go well
emotion stuff
together.
is important too. They go great together.
They
I
go
do a little
well.
bit of
Yes.
both.
Yes.
Mine are merged together
Yep.
in my
Yep.
therapy room. So, Nat, I was thinking, let's break down the house. Let's start from the bottom and work our
Okay.
way up.
All right. So trust and commitment, those are the walls, y'all. We'll get into those, okay?
Yeah, we should do a whole episode on trust, honestly.
Oh, well, and commitment.
Ah, okay. Well, stay tuned. Stay tuned. We're putting them on the list. I'm putting them on the list right now, Nat, while you
Oh
break it
my
down.
gosh. Okay. Commitment's going to be an interesting one because there's so many new ways people do relationships now that
Oh,
will
yeah.
probably get some pushback, but that's okay. We like pushback as long as you're respectful.
It can also be consent and communication can be part of commitment. It doesn't have to be man and
Monogamous.
woman or monogamous. It could
Yeah.
be. It gets more complicated, I will say that. But
No, I know that's what I'm saying.
yeah, it gets real complicated.
Like we get into the poly stuff and the
Oh
whole,
yeah.
yeah, whole, whatever.
It's a lot of work, I feel.
Oh, y'all,
I mean, I people do you, but it feels like a lot of work.
yes,
It's hard with one
being
person.
married to one human, as much as I love this human, it is hard. I can't imagine having
Mm-mm.
more people around me.
Mhm.
That's nuts to figure out and
Oh
manage my
yeah.
schedule and no way. Okay. So level one, so the bottom of the house, right? First floor is build love maps. Okay. So it's knowing your partner. So the biggest thing with this one really is what it's it's building a firm foundation of knowing each other, know the other person.
Hmm.
So building a love map, so what John Gottman calls love map, which is literally like just asking your partner questions, not yes and no. Y'all, when you guys go on dates and you my favorite thing when I'm working with singles is they're like, yeah, I went on this date and all they did was ask me yes, no questions. And I'm like, that must have sucked.
Exhausting. It's an interrogation.
But it's the essential guide, y'all, to your partner's inner world, right? So really trying to get to know them, asking them actual questions
Oh yeah.
that they have answers to. What are their likes? What are their dislikes? Who's your partner's best friend? Y'all, these are some of like the basics. What about their childhood, right? Don't ask, "Hey, did you have a good childhood?" That's a yes and no question. It's, "Hey, tell me about your childhood."
Right.
Or, whatever. Do they prefer to relax after a really intense day? Would they rather go and work out? Like what are the things that bring them joy? What are the things that help them manage their stress, manage their work? Like, y'all, when we
Mhm.
don't ask these types of questions, we don't actually get to know our partner. And ask these things early on in a relationship because you might find out, oh, this might not be a good fit for me. It doesn't mean either one of us are bad, but if I would prefer to, like go balls to the wall and do like some evening hike, and my boyfriend at the time is, the type that wants to go home and put a movie on, we might not go well together.
Well, yeah, and I think too, updating it over time because we change
Yeah.
over time. So my husband and I have been together 20 years. We've gone through a lot of different iterations of our relationship, what we're interested in, what's going on with work. Like things change, and
Hmm.
couples sometimes stagnate,
Yes.
especially when they've been together a long time and you want to continue to stay connected. And so
Yes.
sometimes when a couple comes in and they've been together a long time, we go
Hmm.
to the bottom of the
Hmm.
sound house, and people are like, I know everything about them. They hate ketchup, they love mayonnaise, and I'm like, okay, cool, cool,
Well,
cool, cool. And there's things that we haven't checked in on in a while, and there's more
yes.
than just that.
Well, and that's the thing. Those are like the factual things versus like, what are things that we can do to connect, right? So
Yeah.
one of the things that, you and I've talked about is, especially with our couples, oh my gosh, I actually do this with a lot of my older couples. It's, go on regular date nights, creating rituals and of connection. So do things regularly together, schedule things in, check in on conversations. Y'all, this is huge. Things
Mhm.
change year to year. What my husband and I do every year is we sit down, and it doesn't have to be like the first day of January. Like pick a day and
Yeah.
keep that every year. But we sit down and we talk about, okay, what are our goals for this year? What are our financial goals? What do we need to change in our finances in order to feel connected and feel like we are able to have conversations about this? Having regular date nights. Y'all go out with each other, hang out.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the older couples that I work with stopped doing this, and this is part of why there's such a big disconnect in some of their relationships.
One of the coolest date nights you can do, and we've said this before, is get one of these decks, download the Gottman Love Maps app,
Mm.
or just sit with each other and compare notes. Like one of the things I'll do in session is have them look at each other and say what they think their partner's three top stressors are, what they
Yeah.
think their partner's top three things to do with them are,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. And you can check in, and honestly, like 9 times out of 10, there's a little disconnect there, and not in a conflict way, but in a, oh, I didn't know you liked that. Or, oh, I didn't know that was stressing you so much. How can I help? It's just a great way to kind of get aligned.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's a good date night, y'all.
It is. And here's the thing. I think those cards are kind of fun.
I think they're really fun. Gara and I had such a good date night. Your wedding weekend
Oh,
in
good.
Breckenridge, they have the fireplaces in that hotel.
Yes.
We lit the fire, and I wasn't feeling 100%. We were watching football, and we just decided to actually answer questions with each other. And it's one of the best nights we've had in a really long time of just being able to talk.
I love that.
It was great.
That's amazing. Janine, do you want to jump into level two, floor two?
Floor two, the second floor. There's 7 levels. Level
The
two,
big
this
house.
is a big, big house, which is appropriate if you're in a relationship. There's lots of levels.
We need, yeah, we need big
And they
houses
do contribute to each other.
emotionally.
right? So we get back in touch with each other. We have some love maps. Level
Mm-hmm.
two is we share fondness and admiration. We
Mm-hmm.
express appreciation. This is the culture of appreciation. That's what we're trying to do. So, what that means is you got to tell your partner you like them. This is the number one thing I hear from people when they're
Yeah.
experiencing distress in their marriage is I don't feel like they like me anymore.
Mm.
I don't feel like they like me anymore. And so we all have different love languages. You're going to have to do different things that connect with your partner. But affection, non-sexual physical affection, sex is a piece of this too, but showing physical affection, giving somebody a hug, putting a hand on their shoulder, giving them a little hand squeeze, that kind of stuff is really helpful. And
Mm-hmm.
also verbally affirming and
Mm-hmm.
complimenting someone about who they are, not just a thanks, babe. That's great. Thank you is better than no thank you. But
Mm-hmm.
this is we're talking about something just a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
This is also great to do in front of your children. So I will routinely, like if you ask my son, does mommy love daddy?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to say, daddy is mommy's favorite
Mm.
because I'm obsessed with him and he knows it. And I will say those things.
Yeah.
And it's not that he hasn't seen us get irritated with each other or any of that because we're very
Sure.
real people. But I tell people, and Nat can testify as well, Garrett is the most intelligent. Garrett is the kindest. And I mean, those things
Mm.
are true, honestly. Like I'll tell all of you that's true. But that culture of appreciation has protected our relationship when things have been hard. When
Yes.
we've had stressors come up, we have a culture of this. We are kind to each other. That's
Mhm.
what level two is.
Yes. Love
Yes.
that.
Yep.
Floor three.
Floor three.
This is turn towards. That's what it's literally called.
Oh, I
Turn
love this.
towards.
Which
I
is easier
know.
when we're being nice to each other. Are you guys seeing how they work together?
Y'all, we have to have the other two floors in order to have the other ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is when you need to attend and support and comfort your partner and turn literally towards them. Okay. So this is what Gottman calls bids or responding to bids. Okay. So the concept of bids, can be a small or large attempt from one partner to connect to the other. Specific examples of what a bid looks like. Okay. So it could be a question, right? Janine, what do you think an example of a bid question would be?
I might say something like, hey, I've been wanting to read a book with you.
Yeah.
What's a book that you might want to read that we could read together?
Beautiful, right?
Or,
Super
um,
simple.
hey, I want to share with you about this project I'm working on at work,
Yes.
right?
And as you guys see, like if you're sitting with Janine and she says that, right? It's called a bid. She's turning towards her partner,
Yeah.
right? She's opening it up for connection.
Yes.
So the biggest thing with this, my friends, is, I think a lot of times when we don't have a firm foundation and we haven't built the first two levels yet,
Yes.
we tend to turn away or even turn against our partners.
Mm.
And we see this, I mean, this is honestly what I see all the time in sessions. And I'll actually see it on my couch, right? Like I'll have couples,
Mm-hmm.
if they're having a good session, they are sitting a little bit closer and they're actually towards each other. And when
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen it all in the same session, the second one of them says, well, I just don't believe them or whatever, I see their bodies shifting, right?
So I had a couple one time and I was going to get clients from the waiting room. And there was like an individual person. There were three people in the waiting room, all
Okay.
sitting in drastically different locations, right?
Okay.
So one of my colleagues was going ahead of me to pick up their client, and they go, and I said, "Oh, I have a couple." And I was checking in to see if my couple was out there, and he goes, "No, there's no couples out there." And I said, "Oh, they're mine." Because there's two people out there. I'm like, "They're mine."
They're out there.
They're out there sitting as far apart as they could possibly
Oh
get.
my gosh.
By the time they were done with couples therapy, they
Oh,
were
I know who
sharing,
you're talking about.
they were sharing a chair in the waiting room.
Oh,
So
that's
this is real, even physically turning towards.
yes, you guys, this is so huge. This could even be something as simple as like a touch, not like,
Mhm.
nothing. It doesn't have to be sexual. I think a lot of times when I talk about physical intimacy and my couples like are like, we're not there anymore. I can't
Yeah.
even do that. I'm like, I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about just literally like if your partner if had a bad day, you put your hand on their shoulder and say, I'm really sorry. Or you put your hand on their arm, right? Small things like that, my friends, go a really long way.
Yes.
Those are examples of turning towards of these bids that we're talking about. If my partner's sharing something really tough and I just stand there with my arms closed, I might as well
Mm.
be turning away or against.
Absolutely. And you may not know this, but your therapist is paying attention to your posture and noting it
Yes.
because we're
Oh,
looking for shifts over time because that shows things
absolutely.
are getting better. So if you
Absolutely.
want your relationship to be better,
Yeah.
drop your arms, turn towards your partner,
And
literally physically toward,
listen.
and listen and talk to them.
Yes. Create. And here's the thing, when you both recognize and turn towards each other's bids. So like if my husband and I have had a hard week or whatever with each other, and if he turns towards my bid, so if I
Mm-hmm.
touch his arm or give him, some sort of encouragement, we create a safe space for the
Mm-hmm.
both of us. And it does change. It changes how we interact with each other. I promise.
Oh yeah,
It feels small, but they're huge.
they're huge. Level 4 is having a positive perspective, creating a positive sentiment override. That sounds super complicated, but having a positive sentiment override is basically making generous assumptions and
Mhm.
holding a positive view of your partner.
Benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt. That's
If
right.
any of my clients listen to this and you're in couples therapy with me, you hear me say all the time, benefit of the doubt. This is what that is.
Benefit of the doubt. And this is easier to do after floors 1, 2, and 3 because you're
Yes.
watching your partner ask you questions, express appreciation, turning towards you. It makes it easier to do this. Sometimes we get into therapy and we have a therapist saying, we need to do this. And you're like, no, we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to turn towards them and they're going to turn away from me. And I know that. So I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
Level 4 is I'm going to keep trying because I believe that that other person wants what I want.
Yes.
And this is super helpful in conflict. Gottman says we need to have a 5-to-1 positive to negative ratio in our interactions,
Mm.
even in conflict. So, what
Mm-hmm.
that means is if I have this, when I'm sharing a concern, I can tell my husband, hey, I know you have my back. I
Mm-hmm.
know you didn't mean it this way, but when you said blah, 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 I felt blah, blah, blah. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
But I can phrase it more positively because I
Yes.
have positive sentiment override,
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt.
Yes. The next floor, my friends, is floor 5, manage conflict. This is like my favorite thing.
Oh, I know
And
you love this.
I love it because here's the thing. We are not going to avoid conflict. When couples
Mm-mm.
come in and they're like, "Ah, well, we had a conflict." I'm like, that's okay. How'd it go? Right?
Yes,
Conflict is okay. We actually can create more connection and deeper connection through conflict if we do it right.
your therapist gets excited if you fight with your partner on the way to couples therapy because we are in the moment.
We're in the moment. But I also love hearing when we've worked on all these tools, when we've
Yeah.
worked on positive perspective and turn towards and shared fondness and admiration and built a love map. And you
Yeah.
come in and you go, hey, we had a conflict and I managed myself. I had empathy and it went better than normal. I'm like, ice cream's on me, y'all, whatever,
Oh,
you
check.
know? But Gottman literally says, since we cannot avoid conflict, like I just said, we can't avoid it. The goal is not to avoid conflict, it's knowing what to do. First, we need to accept our partner's influence. What that means is you take
Mm,
their feelings and desire into account instead of doing everything your own way. So if I'm in a conflict with my husband, and here's the thing, y'all, my husband and I are both bullheads. Neither one of us are individuals who necessarily back down. Okay.
yeah.
We, however, have learned what are the battles we're willing to go to war for,
Yeah.
essentially. So we know how to pick our battles way better than we used to,
Oh,
but neither one of us are passive, okay?
mm-mm.
So what that means, you guys, is when I take my partner's influence, it's I'm understanding their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I'm understanding where they're coming from. I'm listening. Here's the thing, I'm not perfect. So when my husband is like, feeling some sort of way and we're having some conflict, I sure as shit, y'all, I'm like, I know there's something I did that didn't help the situation.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
know because I just know me, right? And so I have to understand his perspective and not see it just from my own perspective. Y'all, I already know my own perspective. I need to understand his. Second, whether problems are solvable or perpetual, you dialogue about them. So we have to be able to talk through some of these things. Okay. Some of them are going to be solvable.
Oh, yeah. But it's less.
It
Very
is
few
less.
of them are solvable. Part of it is we need to talk through things, but we need to accept that almost
Yes.
70% of our problems
Are not
are
solvable.
perpetual. They're not solvable.
Yes. Yes.
So the goal is to be good to each other as we're disagreeing because we're probably not going to get on the same page.
Well, and here's the thing, y'all. This is what I tell my couples all the time. 99.9% of the time, it's not about the fight you're having.
100%. It's
It's
not.
about the first three floors where that we totally missed,
Yes.
right? We took
And
like
that we're coming into the fight without a positive perspective.
without literally the other floors underneath, we are going
Yes.
into a fight. So most of the time, y'all, they are perpetual, and they're perpetual because we're not understanding the deeper meaning of what's going on in our marriage or relationship,
Yes.
why we have conflicts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and Gottman has specific skills. I don't know if you were going to share those, but he has specific
Yeah.
skills that are super helpful in conflict. So will you tell
Yes.
them what those are so they can bring them to their couples therapist? Teach us this.
Yes. Well, the third thing though, really quick, is
Mhm.
when you feel yourself getting heated during an argument, you have to self-soothe. You have to go take a time
Mm.
out.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. So this is the part of managing conflict, y'all. These are the three big things to do. And then we will definitely jump into some of the things Janine's just asked about. But y'all, take a walk, take a breath. We have literally a whole worksheet that we give to people
Yes.
that are just on timeouts. Okay. It helps you remain calm. Don't stay in a fight if it's going nowhere good. If we're both in our fight or flight, we're both screwed.
Well, that's such a good point, Nat. I'm so glad you said that because when we're in fight or flight, we're not thinking.
No.
Can't do level 5 if we're in fight or flight.
Exactly. Exactly. So, some of the things that also help us in conflict, okay, so those are the three like main steps, like accept your partner's influence, okay, whether the problem is solvable or perpetual, most of the time they're not solvable, y'all, and it's like perpetual and it's because of deeper stuff. And then third, take a time out, right? Self-soothe, okay? Those are the three big parts of this, but then some helpful tools to help us manage conflict well. One, softened startup.
Oh,
What
yeah. And Gottman has a sheet, y'all, a sheet of softened startup.
that's
And you
literally
can literally do the
use
7
them.
things in there. It is hard to fight if you do
You
those
can,
things.
yes, you could quote Gottman.
Quote him, put him on the fridge. I tell my people, you put that on the fridge.
Yes.
So you're going to feel guilty if you don't do them. You're going to have to look at that and go, I chose not to do that. If you do
I
it.
literally picked this.
Absolutely.
Repair attempts during conflict, right? So what this means is in my brain, it's own your side, right? Repair attempts during the conflict. So if I'm going to repair with my partner, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? That wasn't helpful when I did that or when I said the thing,
Yes.
right? Compromise and negotiate. Guys, compromise isn't always bad. Compromise is sometimes a good thing. The goal is that we can be collaborative together, but sometimes we have to compromise and sometimes we have to negotiate a solution with each other. Explain the importance of supporting each other's life dreams and aspirations. So, part of this, my friends, again, going back to compromise and negotiate, there's a whole other thing, and we won't get into this, and it's not necessarily Gottman, I don't think. Janine, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there are like conflict styles. There's four. We should do a whole mini on that.
Oh, yeah, we should.
We'll do a mini on that. But there's conflict styles that we can talk through, but compromising and negotiating sometimes is our best bet to be able to calm the situation down and actually hear each other out. I hope that all makes sense to you.
Makes total sense.
Great.
So now we got your top floor. This is the penthouse.
Oh no, we're on only floor 6.
Oh, never mind. Go back to 6.
Yeah, we're on 6. We split up. I've split up 5 and 6.
Wifey got lost.
It's okay. So 6, my friends, is making life dreams come true. Okay. The beauty of good companionship is that y'all, we're getting close to the top floor here. Okay. So this is the good stuff. The
Oh,
beauty
yeah.
of good companionship is that you have someone who will not only encourage you in your goals, but also help you reach them. Guys, this is huge. It's so huge.
Mm.
When we get to this level with each other, there's so much encouragement. It's amazing.
This is the yummy stuff in marriage. It really
This is the yummy stuff. This level can look like coming up with a plan to pay off debt
Mm.
together, being supportive of one of you going back to school or job shifting. My husband and I are in the middle of that right now,
Mhm.
of potentially him switching jobs. And y'all, like, and we're also about to have a baby. So there's a little bit of craziness there. But
You got a lot happening.
I know, but I could not be happier if this is the path that he chooses. I couldn't be happier for him.
Mm.
And we'll figure the rest out because because we have the other floors built. We can
Mm.
figure everything else out.
One of my favorite pictures of this, Nat, is when we presented at the conference. And
Mm-hmm.
here we are speaking about women,
Uh-huh.
speaking about women trying to do amazing things, women who are struggling and how we're meeting this need. And our husbands are in the front row.
I know. Yeah, your husband is, I don't even remember what Gare was doing. He was just, helping us with literally
Oh,
everything.
Gare did tech because
Yeah.
nothing worked. The video
Oh
that,
yeah, Gare did tech and Preston's recording.
yeah, all support. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's all great.
our husbands were right there with us, helping us make this thing happen. And that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yes. I love what this says. It says making life dreams come true.
Mm.
This shows when we are making life dreams come true with each other, it shows that you want the best possible life for
Mm.
your partner and that you are willing to do what it takes to make that happen. Y'all, here's the coolest thing. Like Janine was just saying, our husbands, we literally married saints. Um,
We did.
we were literally driving back today from the mountains and Preston goes, I just think the podcast is going to make it so big and I'm so excited for you. Right. And he's like talking about all the ways that he can help and that he wants to help and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I love this,
Oh.
and I need to be more mindful of making sure that I'm helping him with what he wants to come to for
Mm.
him too. Right.
It's
This is the
exciting to
good stuff.
me as your friend because
Mhm.
you guys have been together a long time. You have an amazing marriage. Garrett and I have
Mhm.
been
Oh,
together 20 years.
first 2 years though, Janine, and
Oh, I know.
he will be the first. Maybe we'll tell some of our stories
We
sometime.
were not on the fifth and sixth floor. Y'all
Oh,
were.
we weren't even in the
You
house.
weren't in the house sometimes. It was bad, but
We looked at the house and we're like, what? I don't understand.
but the thing that's so fun about this, like my parents have been together almost 50 years,
Hmm.
and I've been together 20 years. When I tell you that if you do these things, you will have some of the best memories, and it's these moments of transition. So I look at you, my precious friend, ready to have a baby. Your
Hmm.
husband's amazing, and he's getting
Hmm.
excited about maybe doing something new. This is so exciting to watch as an
Hmm.
outsider, as your friend, because I know those moments in our marriage have put us on really great paths together. And it's part of why we're so tight. And so
Hmm.
this is where all of this great stuff happens. Like you put in all of this work and then you start to get momentum.
Hmm.
And it's just
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes. No, it's amazing. It really is. We'll have to share some of our stories sometime.
Oh, yeah.
Press
We
and I.
we already do.
I know we do most of the time. All right, Janine, take us home with the top floor, seventh floor, and then we already kind of briefly talked about the walls, but take us home with the top floor.
Penthouse. This is a penthouse. Okay, this is the top floor. We are living
Hmm.
our best life up here. So the seventh floor is creating shared meaning. This is when you're really building a life together. And part of building a life together is not just making the dreams in the moment come true. That's so important. But it's when people come together and really look at their life and they create shared traditions and goals and values as a family, as a couple, but also as a family. And this involves setting goals. I think Gary and I do this more than we've ever done this. It's super important. But also, like, we have a culture in our family. We have priorities that we've established together over time, and they change sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
that's part of that seventh floor.
Mm-hmm.
Shared meaning is the thing that you look back on after years and years and go, oh, we were in the same trenches.
Mm-hmm.
We were fighting together more than we were fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
That shared meaning,
Oh,
right?
that is totally where you and Gare are.
Oh, yeah. And that doesn't mean that we don't have our issues. But here's the thing, if you do this right, if you build this foundation right, you're bookending all of these things where you don't go back. You really
Mm-hmm.
don't. Now, you're going to still connect. You still need to have positive sentiment override. You still need to do all of those things,
Mm-hmm.
but you very rarely have to start over because you
Mm-hmm.
have seven whole floors holding you up, which is kind of incredible.
It's amazing.
It's
And
amazing.
I think, you guys have been married, you said 20-ish,
We've
20
been
years
together 20 years. We've been married 18.
together, 20. God, that's insane.
Half my
I
life.
remember
This
people are
year,
gonna
it's half
laugh.
my life. I've been with him half my life.
That's nuts. I got married at 29 and I look back and I'm like, we were still young. People tell me they get married at like 20. I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah.
That's nuts.
Babies.
But it's amazing and it's cool
Mhm.
to see, and I love both you and Gare and the little family you guys have created. But it's cool to see when couples get to that place
Mhm.
because once we're there, you guys, it's not that like you said, it's not that you don't revisit floor
Oh, yeah.
5, like
Mhm.
you still have conflict and all the things that come up, but when we get to this place, the conflicts don't feel as detrimental. They don't feel as like the world, our foundation is going to fall apart because it's not,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely. We talk about in our house, Garrett and I laugh because first of all, he and we really value stability
Mm-hmm.
and safety. Those are two things that are really important to us. So we're not
Mm-hmm.
always Johnny on the spot to go do something new, or our house isn't always the most put together. But that's because I'm not going to scream at my family to clean the house because I have priorities. You may have different priorities, which that's not a criticism. Every family gets to choose what their priority is.
Yes.
But we were laughing because when we bought our house, we found out that our house was constructed not on two by fours, but on two by sixes. So
Oh,
our house is literally extra strong. Like the
that's
house that I
great.
live in is extra strong. And I remember being like, it is wild because it'll get windy and stuff. And I mean, you don't even like hear it. Like it's weird. But we were kind of chuckling when we found that out because we were like, that is kind of how we built it. We've built a pretty strong house. And
Yes.
my hope for all of you, our listeners, is that you will be able to build a really strong house with your partner
Yes.
for your
Yes.
family. And we are actually going to have a workshop that we're going to do in the
Mm-hmm.
near future where you guys can actually meet Nat and I live, register with your partner, and we're going to do a Zoom call and we're actually going to do a John Gottman workshop that I'm trained in that I can do. And Nat and I'll co-facilitate it and we can actually put some of this stuff to work in your relationships.
Yes, y'all. It's gonna be so good.
So stay tuned for more details on that. And
Mm-hmm.
thank you for joining us. I hope that this gives you guys some language around some goals and some work that you want to do with your partner.
Yes. And if you're in Colorado, we have some great couples therapists we can
We do. We really
connect you
do.
with. So, and if you're not in Colorado, look for a good couples therapist who's trained in Gottman,
Yep.
EFT. There, people want to help you guys get to these places, but here's the thing, don't go to, I mean, do, but my encouragement is, if you're in a tough spot and you're like, okay, we need therapy, try to go in less defensive.
Yes, and go before it's done.
Too late.
Go before it's too late. Go
Yeah.
while you can still rebuild.
Don't show up dead upon arrival.
Mm.
Don't do that.
No, and Nat and I are going to share a couple of songs on social media that are really special about the process of building that
Yes.
follow this metaphor that you can share with your partner.
Yes.
We love y'all. I hope this is helpful, and we'll see you guys on Friday.
Yep.
And as always,
Bye, forensic friends.
I'm Janine.
And I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening and join us next week for more crime, psychology, and heart.